Hello, hello. It's John Mee from Alive and Kicking, speaking to you from West Yorkshire in England, from the city of Leeds. And welcome to my second webinar in this series called A Journey to the Sea and Beyond. I work with Alive and Kicking Theatre Company. You can find us by doing a search on the web. And recently I've been doing some work with children and families. And also I've been working in schools as well, a little bit before we were not able to go into schools. And I thought I'd begin by giving you a bit of a flavour of some of that work. So I'm just going to open my PowerPoint and share it with you so you can sort of, get a feeling of that. At least I will in a minute. Harry, you need to give me permission, please, to share the PowerPoints at the moment. I'm not able to do that. Let's try again, see if it will work. No, it says host disabled attendee. Now I am the co-host. The joys of working online. We're all getting used to this, aren't we? So I'm just breathing and I'm going to try again for the third time to see if I can do it. I think this time I might have some success. Yes. I'm hoping that you can see this. Here you will see 3 or 4 of the girls and a little boy in the background on a journey that I've been exploring with very young children. Here there being a caterpillar climbing across the land. I'm sure that if I asked them to be a frog, they could do that as well, or an elephant. I'll bet they could do an elephant very easily. Or I could even ask them to do a giraffe on a journey. I know that these 4 girls, with the 5th one in the background, I know they would be able to do it. Have a look at the next one. Here we are on a journey to the top of the mountain where you have to balance on one hand to look just around the corner to where the dragon's lair is. You balance on one hand, you look at all, yes, look, there's me in the background trying to balance on one hand. So I hope you can see that in this work, excuse me, in this work, you need to be ready to move. You can't just be sitting down the whole time. And of course, some rope always comes in handy if you are on a journey. Here we are, waiting, queuing up to cross the bridge on our journey. You can find all these pictures in the Bright Start handouts that I'm sure you've got access to. I thought what I would do is I'd just give you a flavour of some of the work that I've been involved in. I had a great time with that, and I'm having a great time being with you at a distance even now. And I can see that already Mariam has raised her hand. So before I go any further, I'm going to ask Harry, can you please give Mariam permission to speak to me? And then I'll be able to have a chat with her live. What I'd like to do, obviously, as we go through the webinar is to store up some of your questions so that I can answer them at the end. But let's see, Mariam, can you hear me, please? Maybe you can hear me, but I can't hear you. Like I said before, the joys of working online. I'm going to give it one more go and see if, here we are. It says here, will you please unmute your microphone? Everybody please now, will you unmute your microphone? You know that little button in the corner of your screen? It might be down there or it might be down there. But I'm still waiting to hear back from you, Mariam, because I can't hear you at the moment. Please speak if you can now. Silence. That's the way of the world, isn't it? Well, I tell you what, we'll do it. We'll do it at the end of the of the webinar, and other questions as well. Please put them in the chat if you would like to, or if you're confident about switching your microphone on, then raise your hand as we go along. So here we are. As we go along, I've got the idea of having 3 parts to today's webinar. Part number 1 is I'm going to take you into stage 2 of a journey to the sea and beyond. I'm going to give you some ideas as we go along about how you might work with your children. Secondly, what I shall do is to try to answer the questions either as we go along, like we tried to with Mariam a moment ago and failed miserably, but that's the way of the world. And if not, we'll try at the end of the webinar to talk together. I'll try to respond to as many as I can. And thank you for responding to the questions that have been put to you on the website. Most people would like me to continue to help you with ways of supporting the children to present their ideas, and so that they can be making the decisions. I'll be working at that as we go along. Some said that you would like support with a range of story making. So last time I did a whole load of story making opportunities. I've built some into today's webinar. Watch out for them. Some said you'd like to have help with recapping ideas for addressing the special needs of children and of meeting me in role. I have done 15 special needs notes in this webinar, so watch out for them. There's 15 that I've counted. You may well find more. Most of you were happy with the way you'd been introduced to the approaches of living in an imaginary world, which I'm really pleased about, because, you know, some children find that very easily, and some children find some difficulties with it. Some adults do as well. You have to be able to give it a go. If you missed webinar 1, don't worry, it's on the website, and you'll be able to see this one and the next one on the website as well, in case you're doing other things on a Monday morning. Please do join me for all 3 webinars, because then you'll get the feeling of the whole line of the story, everything that happens on the way, how we stop, how we start, how we continue, how we face dangers, how we have victories together, and how we go on in and beyond our journey to the sea. Last week we found out where we lived. This week, we're going to find out about the danger that we live in. And in the next and the final webinar, we shall look at whether we can survive, or whether, who knows, that's the idea. Throughout these webinars, we're working with the picture maps that my friend and colleague Martin Riley has made. So these are really, really important. So do have those ready. I think I suggested that you should have a really big piece of paper with your picture map on for a number of reasons. I hope that you'll have been able to have started to create your own version of those picture maps. Please encourage the children to add their ideas as their story develops. It may not be my story, and that's okay. You can add all sorts of things. You might like to follow my storyline to give a structure to it, and the children might like to go off in different directions. That's creative, that's imaginative. Go for it, and then come back to the main storyline, which will be like a holding form. It will give you a structure to being in story making with the children. Don't be afraid to work off in their storylines. Of course, the picture map is really handy because it gives you a visual memory of what's happened in our story. You have the map, and you can add to it as we go along. You can put in colors, you can put in words. And Bright Start have asked me specially to think about providing support for parents with children with special needs. So that's why I built in my 15 special needs notes. So, of course, you know the children your children so much better than I can. So all I can do is to model some ideas for you and give them to you and hope that you will find useful ones. Some of them you'll go, yes, I'll try that. Others you'll go, perhaps later, and then bring it back in. Others you might say, no, that's not for me and my child. It's for you, of course, to decide to make it your own and to help your children to make it their own as well. They respond to different ways of story making because using drama is different. It's direct. I hope it's fun. It brings the story alive, and it does that in the here and now as well as the there and then. You know, we are working together creating the story, but the story is in the past and in a different place. I take some of my watchwords from Augusto Boal and Gavin Bolton, who talk about metaxis, the idea of being in the here and now and in the then and there at the same time. That's at the heart of story making and storytelling. Some children slip into that quite easily. Others find it harder. And for all children you're working with, I suggest what you try to do is to create a contract together, either by having it spoken or written or implied in what you do. Here we are together. It's our time to do our story making. And here we are, let's work together. If I do this, will you do that? So I think the idea of having either a specific contract with the children, spoken or written, or an implied one as well, by the way you are, by offering the children opportunities to add to the storyline and to be different characters themselves. My frame is this: I'm modeling what you could do with your children, and over to you after I've done that. Lots of story making opportunities. There's one main story, back to that in just a moment, lots of other offshoots. And in webinar 1, I suggested a number of story starters to support with opportunities for a range of story making, like you said you wanted. I wonder whether you built the story about the key and the necklace. Did it belong to an ancient royal family who had to bury it deep at some point in the mountainside? Did it belong to the fairies that hid in the mountainside? Did it belong to, you decide. And what about the dragon at the top of the mountain? What was that doing there? Why had it gone to the top of the mountain? Was it a real dragon, or was it somebody pretending to be a dragon? That was the second story opportunity from last time. Then I mentioned the possibility of a genie in the ice cave. Oh, and if you want to think about magic, if you want to think about myth and legend, then the genie in the ice cave might be your favorite. And what about the eagles that fly round and round and round at the top of the mountain and never stop flying? What on earth is that all about? And another one, a final one that I mentioned in webinar 1, the old broken boat that's been dragged up to the shore in the northern part of our island. I wonder if you've named our island yet. What's the story behind that old broken boat? You've got all these possibilities because we're living together as a community on an island. And so the children might take those opportunities, or you might stick with the main storyline. So my special needs note, number 1, story starters. You can write with them, you can record what you say, you can use visual art, you can make a video, you can use all sorts of ways depending on your interests and the children's interests and their range of capabilities. Some children might be happier to do it visually, some children might like to speak. It just depends upon your knowledge of your children. By the way, Bright Start are asking you to send your stories in whatever form to their website, so that in the new year they can create a gallery of stories. There will be an invite on the website with a link to show you how to do that. So special needs note number 2, watch out today for the main story, A Journey to the Sea and Beyond, and watch out for offshoots of storylines. See how many you can see that you might work with your children today. You can always bring them back to the main storyline. So back to our island, Our Journey to the Sea and Beyond, part 2, a journey. Will it be one place to another? Will it be a return journey? Will we break our journey? Will we stop and start? Will it be a journey across places? Using our picture map will help us to answer some of those questions. And it isn't just about the story, it's about the feelings on our journey as well. Story making isn't just about what happens. It's, physically when we're on the way, it's about what happens inside here and inside here as well. So you have a chance to reflect, you have a chance to think, you have a chance to stop and start. Think, for example, about using recorded music at the beginning. But some children, some adults really like to have music in the background. Can be a very settling device. If a moment comes, be ready to dance together. Find the child inside yourself and get ready to dance together. If the moment comes, you could, when we're looking at the picture maps, trace the outline of the island with your fingers. Then you're working in a different way with the child. It isn't all about speaking. It can be about touch. It can be about dance. It can be about painting. It can be about colouring. It can be all those things to think about what our feelings are. Colour and feelings, red for danger in my culture. In most cultures, I guess, green for go. Blue for the waves. You decide together. And of course, be ready to use objects. Today, here's one of the objects that will come into the story. I wonder how. You could just show these. You could choose your own. You'll decide later on. This is an important one for me. You'll find out as we go along. Here we go. Here's another one. This, of course, you've already seen in one of those early photographs, this rope being used. In this story, no doubt it will be used in a different way. It might be something to do with one of these, but we'll find out as the story goes along. Oh yes, I've got one more thing I want to show you. In the story today, some of these are going to be very important. So I like to have objects ready for me to use as I go along. There's my objects. You can just have them and with the children, and they might select some and show them to you, and you can wonder together how those objects would be used even before you start. One other thing to think about, of course, there's lots of things to think about, but don't worry, because you can relax your way into it and you can stop and start. And if you have another adult with you, then it's handy for you to be in the story with the children, and the other adult might be like the storyteller, the person who asks questions, the person who puts the music on, or the person who gets the puppets ready. But good to have a friend with you as well. So have a think about how you would use two of you there. Remember, this is years and years and years ago, when the tracks on our island are made of dust. so that in the summer, when the wind blows, the dust flows. But in the winter, when the rains come, the tracks are claggy with mud. Right, well, what I'm going to do now is to remind you about repetition. It's really important. And I use that image each time in my storytelling. Remember the summer, remember the winter. It's about going back in order to go forwards. And of course, another way of recapping is to look at one of our picture maps, which I'm going to do and share with you in just a moment. I hope you'll be able to see this now. Here you can see a complete map of our island, the place in the bottom right-hand corner where we live, our houses, the smouldering volcano behind us, in the middle, the mountain range, which we know is where we found the key and the necklace. And look, up in the top left-hand corner to the north, look, here's the old broken boat. Here are some sailing ships leaving the island. This is our beginning. This is a way that we can use the picture map as a way of recapping, remembering what we know so far. So, I've shown you the village, the volcano, the mountains and the harbour. And I'm going now to remind you about Gordon the goosekeeper. So, I tell you what, when you look in a moment, Gordon, do you remember last time we tried to think about what names to give Gordon? I had a look at some. You may remember Gordon. The way I became Gordon was using this and this as well. And I'll tell you more about Gordon and how to build a character like him in just a minute. But I had to think about names for the geese beginning with G, and I researched it. You might like to have a research. I got Gabi the hero goose, Ghazi the leader, Gul the flower goose. I got Gafur the invincible. I got Gabar the strong one, Gami the beautiful. I got Gadar the graceful lady. I got Gura the princess. And I got Gulala the gorgeous. I just had a little look through and I thought I might like to share another language with you for the geese there. Special needs note, how about creating a goose soundscape? Honk, 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 honk. Time for your supper, girls. Honk, honk, honk. You can use these as puppets, more or less. Or there might be a goose dance mirror activity. Oh, honk, 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 honk. Some children really like the idea, and some adults together, of just slowing the moment down and using a dance. So a goose dance activity. Honk, 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 honk. Good luck if you try that. Could be great fun, I hope. Of course, there are recipes for cooking geese. I've seen one for spiced roast goose. There's one on the British Broadcasting Company Good Food Guide on the internet if you want to have a look. But it's a Middle Eastern dish anyway, so you you might already have cooked that for yourselves. I don't know. So I don't know, maybe you'd stop and have a cooking moment together. I hope you won't be cooking any of Gordon's geese, but there you are. By the way, do think about the space that you're working in. We'll be going on a journey, so you might have the village in one room in the house, the volcano in another room in the house. Plan this beforehand, or talk with the children about it, or go outside, or move the furniture. See how that goes. Like I said, these are my ideas. You'll decide which ones you like, and the ones that you think, oh no, John, I'm not doing that. So you decide for yourselves. But remember, all the way through this, give the children, special needs note, give the children a chance to be the experts. The idea of as the child as a crucible, rather than a pot that we pour things into. The child as a crucible in which the learning is mixed and the child takes care with the learning, and the adult warms the crucible up with questions, warms the crucible up with ideas, with bits of the story, but the child as the one who has the mantle of the expert, as Dorothy Heskett would say. So I wanted to remind you about that. And as I do, I'd like to show you a second PowerPoint. Please have a look at. Not this one, but back to the island. Let me lose that for the moment. And let me look instead with you at sharing another one. Here, I've tried to capture the idea of the mantle of the expert. Giving the children the mantle of the expert asks us to acknowledge that they will know the answers, that they will be able to take the lead in the playing and the story making. It's not all down to the adult. The adult can provide a structure, which is what I'm trying to do with you, with the picture maps and the story. But the play, the story, the drama belongs to the child. I think as well there's a balance really between the kind of free play that we use and structured play. And what I'm trying to do in this webinar is to make some suggestions of free play moments and structured play moments. And of course, what you might like to do as an introduction to make sure you're all comfortable with the idea is you might like to look at some of the pictures that I've already put into the Bright Start website to give us a feel of what might be about to happen. Have a look at these. Aha. It's not just a smouldering volcano. More is happening. Ooh, look, drifting into the sky, and the slopes covered with ash. I can't imagine people would be able to live there in those circumstances. And if they did, maybe they would have to journey to the sea to get away from the volcano. Of course, if they were leaving the volcano, they might find a land with vegetation to go through, but the smoke would be behind them. Look, here's more of it, drifting on the wind, a danger to us all. Into the clouds that mean we might not be able to see our hands in front of our faces. Wait till you see the first video, you'll see why I'm saying that. Look, the clouds might get thicker and thicker. Oh, and of course, for younger children, this might be a way of demonstrating the power of the whoosh of the rocks, of the hovering of the smoke, of the lava going down the slopes. If you do that, whoosh, whoosh, you've already got the beginnings of a volcano dance. And there's more to start you off. The volcano at night, glowing. Glowing. And here, as a colouring exercise, an opportunity for you to stop the drama and really to move into the world of art. Oh, or that one. And when you do, maybe some of the art will look just like this. our journey, our way of looking at the danger, living in another place and another time, but making the story in the here and now, using the mantle of the expert. Whew. Gordon the goosekeeper, back to him. You'll find that he is a useful device and that you could become Gordon yourself, or you might like to become, I don't know, do you remember the idea of having, oh yeah, here we are, look. What about, you know, being the person who looks after the sheep, or the person who looks after the chickens, or you could become Gordon the goosekeeper yourselves. And if you do, what I'm trying to give you in the video, and stand by, Harry, if you would, to show video number 1. I've got Harry with me, the technician. When you look at video 1, do you remember when I signaled how I went into being in role as Gordon the goosekeeper, you know, using the hat, using the necktie? There's more to it than that, and I will explore that with you. But here we are, a way of using Gordon or yourself to move the story forward. Harry, could you please show video 1 so that we can look at Gordon telling stories of the volcano? Harry, please show video 1. It's me, Gordon the goosekeeper. I just wanted to tell you about something strange that happened the other night. It was a lovely day, and the sun was high in the sky, and I was thinking to myself, right, tonight I'll have some supper and my favourite piece of cheese. Sure enough, the sun went down, 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 and the moon started to rise, and it was time for my supper. Ooh, you know when you have a really nice something to eat, you know, I don't know what you like, but I especially like goose eggs. The girls, they lay such lovely eggs, and omelettes I make, and scrambled eggs I make, and boiled eggs I make. Oh, they're really, really tasty. But the other night, after I'd had my special scrambled egg, it was, with tomatoes on top, I thought to myself, time to go to bed. But first of all, I'll just have my favourite piece of cheese. Oh, it was lovely. And then I thought, go on, Gordon, just one more piece. And then I thought, I'll have just one more and then I'll stop. And I did. And off I went to bed. And first of all, I slept quite well. And then all of a sudden, I heard this sort of strange rumbling. I thought, oh, it's probably my stomach, you know. It wasn't. I thought, I'd better just check on the geese. So I opened the curtains, and do it with me. Try that once more. But they were in their shed. They were all locked up. And then I looked up and I saw smoke in the air. It was coming from our volcano behind us. You know, there's all sorts of strange stories. There's a story about that volcano and the other half of the island that's disappeared. Nobody seems to know how that other half of the island disappeared. And there's a song, and there's a story of the volcano, a rumbling in the earth, smoke gently rising sometimes, like a mountain giving birth. There's a story of the volcano rumbling in the night, smoke rising from the center. I can't remember the rest. Maybe you can. Maybe you can search your minds and find the rest. Rumbling in the night, smoke rising from the center, and I got some other words, like shaking earth and rocks vibrating and boiling steam and scalding lava, an eruption and molten magna rolling, and you can think of some more. And but anyway, it seemed to quieten down, and there was just like a little rumbling, and so on. I closed the curtains, just do it with me. And sure enough, before long, I was sleeping so peacefully. Well, I hope to see you soon. There. So, there's my friend Gordon again. You could become him, or you might be Georgina, or I don't know who, but have him if you want to, and have his dream and opening the curtains. And what about the song? There's a story of the volcano rumbling in the night, smoke rising from the center. And then Gordon goes, can't remember the words. Perhaps you can. So that's a challenge to you and the children. Complete the song. And if you do, send it to me, email it to me. I'd love to know the words. You could even do a little video. I should love to see you at some point, in the same way that I hope you are seeing me. Special needs note. Sing the song with the children and then not know. There's a story of the volcano. Face rumbling in the night, soundscape, smoke rising from the center like a dance, and then giving the children the expertise to know what the next bit is. And some of them will give words, and some of them might dance, which you can give the words to. Or maybe you don't need words, maybe you just have the dance. But the volcano song could be special needs note number 6. It could be a starting point for you. And don't forget about going into role. In webinar 1, there's the introduction of how I did it, but there's another thing to remember, and that is that I introduce Gordon again and again, so that as soon as I take my hat, we know who I'm going to become. So the hat is really important. But knowing for yourself who Gordon is equally important. So I'd like to suggest that when you're preparing a role, that you think about a lifeline exercise. And by a lifeline exercise, I mean think of the times in Gordon's life or Georgina's life or Sarah's life or whoever. Think about some particular moments in their lives. I know that Gordon is at least 65 years old. He lives by himself with his 3 geese. I know he loves making scrambled eggs. He has to be very careful with the geese at night because of the fox. I know all these things when I'm being him. He lives on the volcano slope. He's always lived there. He enjoys village meetings. I'll tell you why in a bit. He loves singing. Not necessarily very well, but he loves singing. By the way, he hasn't met his cousin Tom for quite a few years. You'll find out later on who Tom is. Gordon is the sort of person who always makes friends, I hope. And he once went across the island to have a sail with the fishing fleet. He got out to sea and he felt a bit seasick. He came back very quickly. That might be a problem for Gordon later. And by the way, he loves eating too much cheese. You know that already. So there's a task for you to have a go. See if you could build your lifeline exercise. See if you could maybe do pictures of your character at different points in their life and invite the children in the role that they're going to be to do pictures of different points in their lives, or words underneath. So special needs note number 8, have another piece of paper ready and create 2 lifeline exercises. Another story making opportunity. But don't forget, Gordon often says, do it with me. It's an invitation that children can accept or leave to one side. Don't forget he does bloop, 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 soundscapes. He uses that as a convention. Don't forget that he uses words. He's got words from the Children of Willow class in St. Blaise Primary School in England. They're in the handout. Shaking earth, rocks vibrating, boiling steam, scalding lava, eruption, molten magma rolling. If you use those, then you could switch into, I call it a free play moment, where the children could take a moment to explore the volcano, to become the lava, to become the smoke. And you can watch them for a moment. And then afterwards, you might go back into being the people of the village and stop it for a moment in that kind of Brechtian way that Gavin Bolton suggests. The work can be interrupted. The group can be asked, hold on for a moment. What's going on in these people's minds? What does the volcano mean to us? Is it just good land and warmth, protection from the gales? What are the stories of the volcano? And can you do the volcano dance? Is there a god of the volcano? Could you speak to the god of the volcano, the goddess of the volcano? Remember, Gordon said a long time ago, the volcano was in the middle of the island. Here's another story-making opportunity. What happened to the rest of the volcano? Could you write that story? Could you play that story? Could you dance that story? Could you sing that story? Could you paint that story? Okay, so now, watch out. A time of danger for everyone in the island. I'm going to show you the next picture map. Here is the picture map of the erupting volcano. You could have made this beforehand and stick it on the picture map as a surprise for the children. Or you might have done it with the children beforehand. And then beyond that, what did you see then? Here's a kind of memory exercise. Have a look again. Have a look again. What can you see now? And what did you see that time? Have a look again. You know, a switch on, switch off, a chance for you to ask, what did you see that time? To speak the answer, to move the answer, to soundscape the answer. And look, a close-up of the erupting volcano. You could, of course, use these images that you will find if you look at the handout. You could use these images and you could take them from this seminar now. It'll be available to you on the Bright Start website, so you could take these out, or you could, of course, make them yourself. Always best, I think, to make them yourself. My colleague Martin Riley made these for me when we were discussing how to build this idea of the journey to the sea and beyond. So I thought I would show you those just as an idea for getting ready to bring the close-up of the erupting volcano if you need a moment to stop, you can colour in the volcano, you can switch the activity. And like I said in webinar 1, find moments to stop. You don't have to do all this in one go. I've just got this 1 hour to help you with this. This might be a piece of play that you have over a weekend, or you might do it in little bits over a period of time, or you might do it all in one go in half an hour for all I know. But it's for you to decide how best to spread the time out, and for you to decide the free play moments that you can give the children as you go along. And then you can watch them while they're playing and you can comment, oh, I saw that you were doing this, or you could mirror dance what they're doing, or you can invite them in, or you can give them the hat, or you can give them the necktie, or you can give them the puppet of the sheep or the chickens or the geese, of course. And by the way, don't forget Gloria. I thought I'd bring her in again. She's been quite important in this journey in my planning. You decide. When you feel the moment's right, then you can intervene by saying, the volcano's exploding. What should we do? Hide? Run? But what you need to do, special needs note number 11, I'm not going to tell you about 12, 13, 14, 15, see if you can spot them yourselves. Slow the drama down. Remember the song of the volcano. Make the noise. I'm just doing it on my chest, but you might do it on the floor, or you might have a percussion instrument. Try the noise of the volcano to slow the drama down. And then, of course, you might together, if you decide to journey rather than facing the volcano, you could decide together in a meeting what to take with you. What things do you have in those houses on the slopes of the volcano? And what you might do earlier on is to do little drawings of a suitcase or a rucksack, or a little drawing of some food or some clothing. And then you could use those little drawings to decide which of those you would take with you and which you would leave behind. I know what Gordon would be taking with him. Slow the drama down. And then thinking about the journey that you would be taking, a time, if you like, to reveal the swirly whirly track that you might be taking as you go beyond the village. Here it is. You'll see in a moment, so you begin to stand by for video 2, if you would please, Harry. You'll see in a moment that Gordon tells the story of traveling along those 32 steps in the track there. And you might go, I wonder what we're going to see on the way. And you might decide for yourselves before you maybe follow what Gordon is saying. But anyway, Gordon knew that there was this escape route, and Gordon took it. And as you will see in a moment, when Harry shares video 2, you'll see what happened next as the smoke from the volcano blotted out the sun. You could go into role as Gordon yourself and use almost the same words or invent them for yourselves. Have a look at this next video and see the way that I do it as Gordon. So Harry, over to you. Would you please play video 2, Gordon going to have a look along the track. Over to you, Harry. So there was smoke in the sky. There was lava flowing. There were rocks shooting out. I thought to myself, what to do? We'll have to get out of this, but it was so dark I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. But I knew at the back of the village there's a swirly whirly track toward the mountain. I thought to myself, what I'll do is I'll sneak out the back while the others are packing up their cases and getting ready to leave before the volcano overtakes us. And by the way, I wonder if the adults look a bit frightened now, could you just hold their hands and say something like, don't worry, it'll be okay? Because you know how adults get frightened so easily. So let's just practice that together. You hold their hand and you go, don't worry, it'll be okay. Once more. Don't worry, it'll be okay. That's really good. So let me tell you what I did. Couldn't see my hand in front of my face. It was so dark because of the smoke. But I knew where the track was, round the back of the houses, the swirly whirly track, up through all the way to the mountain. And so I started walking and I heard this kind of like squelch, squelch, and then from under my feet, snap, snap, and then in the air, squelch, squelch. I walked a bit further, snap, snap, and then eek, eek, eek. I didn't know what it was, and then just like that, eek, eek, squelch, squelch, snap, snap. I came running back all the way down the track. I couldn't see much. I tripped over, but I picked myself up and I got right back to my house where you were all waiting, ready for our meeting. I hope we're going to be okay. Hold on to the adults' hands and tell them not to worry. They get so frightened. So I'm trying to make sure that the children are less frightened than the adults. So you could take that and create that for yourself if that would be a useful way. Or you could simply narrate the story. You don't have to go into role. That's one of the ways that I'm promoting, but you might just be a storyteller. And in so doing, you might find this next selection of picture maps quite useful to help you to look at the way the story will develop over a period of time. Look, have a look now. I hope this will help you. I'm just going to play these straight through. Close up. We get closer. Look, snap, snap. Skull and crossbones. Eek, eek. Rivet, rivet, rivet. Splish, splash. Oh, look, the volcano smoke on the right-hand side. Closer into the forest, around the bend. Oh, faces in the forest, eyes in the forest. Further round the bend, and then the bear outside his cave. A close-up of him to have a look, and then a picture that you could use of the bear's cave itself. And here, there, how will you get past to the hiding place behind the mountain? Look, there's a place for safety, but will you be able to get there? There's only one way to find out. How on earth are you going to get past the bear when you've only got a rug, when you've only got some rope, and when you've only got a stick? It'll be no good trying to hit the bear, because you know what happens when you try that. Could you get close enough to tie him up? And that, of course, is the puppet bear. What would you do? Wrap this around his head? Or could you sing to him? What on earth could you do to get past the bear? Because if you can't get past him, how on earth will you get to the hidey place? And there in the background is the smoke from the volcano. You'd have to get a moment to stop and relax, because this could be quite frightening for some children, for some adults too. So take your time, stop and start. And you may well want, like a bit of a song to help you on the way. So here's the Here's the song that I'm suggesting. Off we go, off we go. We're never slow, we're never slow. Past the squelches, past the crocs, past the frogs, past the birds, through the forest to the bear. Off we go, off we go. Let's hide, let's hide. Look, you could write your own song, and if you do, make sure you send it to me. I should love to see it. Off we go. Off we go, past the this, past the that, past the bear, if you can, let's hide. That's mine. What about yours? Try it, sing it, see what happens. Now we've got 2 participants with raised hands, and I'm really happy now to take those. So Harry, could you help me with that, please? And will you both please switch your microphones off? On. Switch your microphones on. And I'm ready, Nanita and Zainab, to hear from you both. Nanita, over to you, please, first. I wonder if it's going to be another one of those moments when I can't hear you. What a thing. Zainab Agha, would you try instead of Nanita?
Yes, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hello, lovely to hear
Hi.
from you.
My name is Zainab Al-Agha. I am a doctoral student at the British University in Dubai. And my field is in the inclusive and special education. First of all, I would say thank you so much for the ideas and whatever you shared with us. I do remember that whatever you said really is considered as an added value. Because the story starters, the objects, the picture maps, the feeling of how we should make the students really feel whatever we talk about. It's not just about papers or telling a story. I want them really to feel that. So the heart of a mother and the way of how you presented and what you said was really amazing. I would like to add that the repetition and the recap is extremely important for the students with the special needs in regards to remembering and just make them really understand and just not like hear it from one ear and get it off to the other ear. Like I want them really to absorb exactly whatever we are talking about. I like also they sing the song and give them the lead and just helping them to show what they know. It's really very important, and I appreciate that. However, as a mother, as a mother of 5 children as well, and I know this is in this fast-moving world. I do appreciate what you said ahead of time before, but in this fast-moving world, really, we don't have that much time to prepare whatever you did. And but because of my experience, I know it's not easy. I was doing this with my students. I always say we have to prepare 1,000,000% ahead of time before, so that when we deliver the 100%. But I don't know how to say it, but do you have any ready-made mini videos that will teach or will support us parents as well as teachers to help us get exactly what we want at a very short period of time? So
that's a really important thing you're saying there, and what I've done here is to use three webinars to cover a lot of material. I think the best recommendation I could make to you, whilst I'm agreeing about recapping and feeling levels with everything that you have said, Zainab, I think that the really important thing to do is for you to select bits. And I understand that it takes time to do this. I'm lucky because I've got the time, because Bright Start have invited me to do that. In fact, I'm running out of time now because it's 9 o'clock. And what I have got is another list.
Sorry,
no, it's important.
It's breaking up and I cannot hear you anymore.
All right. Well, if you email me a question I will try to answer it. I hope that's clear for everybody. If you have questions, please email.
It lagged and I was unable to hear you properly.
Yes, okay. Well, Harry, could we stop Zainab now, please? And could you send a message on the chat line to everybody to say, please email the questions. Now, Harry, I need to ask you, it's now an hour into this, and we've just had a long conversation, an interesting conversation with Zainab. Can I have some more time now to continue, or shall I try to build it into my next webinar? Could you please send me a message, please, on chat, Harry, to let me know what's the best way of doing it? Shall I continue now? Because I'm coming to the end of my 1 hour, or would you like me to wait until next time? When I'm just waiting for that answer from Harry, I just wanted to remind you about the sorts of things that we were talking about. Oh, I've got 5 more minutes, says Harry. So that's good. I'll take the 5 minutes in that case. And in that 5 minutes, I've just shown you, haven't I, a chance for you to think carefully about how you use the picture map. And really, to answer the last question, I think the picture map is the important thing. And if you want really there to look at the way of having a shorter piece, and I hope that Zainab will hear this, I think the best way is to have the picture map on a table and to work that picture map with the child. Yes, it takes a little bit of time. Look at the handouts on the Bright Start website and use the handouts. Those will help you to understand how to do that. Quickly, I'd like you, if you would, in 1 minute, please, Harry, to show video 3, which addresses Gordon's feelings as he's hot seating. So now, please, as soon as you can, Harry, please, will you show video 3? It's Gordon's feelings as he's going through the swamp. You could try this yourselves. Over to you, Harry. And then we were safe in the hiding place behind the mountain. I took a moment just to breathe gently and to recover from the swamp and the forest and the bear, and all the feelings of the journey came back into my mind. I felt like when I was in the swamp, I could hear the squelch, squelch, the snap, snap of the crocodile, and the rivet, rivet of the frog. You'll make much better noise of a frog than I can, and a better crocodile noise than I can. So I pulled the rug around my shoulders, you know, to give me a little bit of comfort. And I felt like I was really, really frightened. And then I remembered, I said to myself, come on, Gordon, come on, pull yourself together, get through the swamp. And on I went, squelch, squelch, feeling stronger and feeling better. Until again, I got to the forest. Squeak, squeak, squeak. I didn't know what the noises were, but I didn't like the sound of them, and I felt not just fear, but I felt a bit inquisitive. I kind of wanted to know what was making the noise. I looked this way, I looked that way. I couldn't see anything. It was dark. And then I felt really quite scared. I felt fearful. I felt inquisitive. I felt scared. And then I said to myself, now, what are you, Gordon? Are you a man or a mouse? First of all, I went, squeak, squeak. I feel just like a mouse. And then I said to myself, come on, Gordon. You've got all the people with you. You've got the rope. You've got the stick. You've got your rogue. And they've got all sorts of things. And came out of the forest feeling quite good until outside the cave, remember? The bear. My heart. I had to breathe for a moment, and you know, when you're frightened, sometimes it's best just to stand still, like a statue. You could try that yourselves. You could be moving around and then go still. just like a statue. And then, oh, with the rug and the stick, you got us safely past the bear using the rope as well. And then, I don't know, do you remember? Did you sing him a song, or did you tell him a story, or did you make funny faces, or did you tell him a joke, or did you, whatever you did, you managed really well, and I felt very proud of you. I felt very proud of us, really strong and really safe, until I looked over my shoulder and I could see the gathering smoke of the volcano. We ran like anything right into this, the hiding place. And I thought to myself, oh, my geese. And I hung on to these. They made me feel a lot better. You know, sometimes if you've got something to hold on to, it makes you feel better. You know, like when you go to bed at night and you've got something to snuggle up to, that sort of thing. Well, I use my geese like that. So behind there, I got myself ready for whatever was going to happen next. And I just took a moment to breathe in, to hold it, and to breathe out. I felt quite calm. Do it with me. Breathe in, hold it, breathe out once more. Breathe in, hold it, breathe out. Oh, it's a really good way of feeling calm. I can recommend it to you. And there we are. Lovely to have been with you today. Come back and join me, please, for webinar 3, in which you will find what happens between the hiding place and the harbour. You might like to start to draw a picture together of the first time you saw the sea. And if you look at my handouts, you'll see the recap of all the special needs points that I was trying to make today. I won't take any more time now, but what I will do is to wish you well and hope very much to see you as part of webinar 3. So thank you and goodbye.